Today, we are going to talk about emotional wellness. So, what do you do when things start to spiral out of control? And I asked that question, and some of the answers were breathe, calm down, and that's awesome. That's actually kind of one of the first things I wanted to talk about. There's four different things, and I told you before, I like to break things down in chunks of four because I think it makes it manageable. There's four different things that we can think about to kind of do a litmus test. How are we doing emotionally? How are we handling our emotions? So the first thing would really be that idea that stop. I think I was listening to a book and it said, what did it say? It said stop the escalation, or had a much cuter little word for that. But figure out that things are escalating, identify that things are getting out of control, and then be able to stop that. Right? Consciously making a decision to flip the script. That's kind of what I think about, like a light switch. And I'll be honest, this is probably one component of wellness that I struggle with the most, because I kind of like that emotional side of myself, and my husband's not very emotional. So sometimes I end up creating these argumentative spaces because I'm feeding off that feeling of emotion, whereas I could probably communicate and get a positive emotion, but I'm so emotional and I like that I'm kind of like, okay, whatever, I'll take whatever emotion I can get. So that's the first one. Are we consciously trying to flip the script when we feel it's starting to spiral? And then the next is something that we can do proactively. So not just in the moment. Are we taking time to kind of sit with our feelings every day and figure out where we're starting the day? I'll be honest, I woke up today kind of in a funky mood. And because my daughter woke me up kind of early, I didn't exactly have time to sit down and identify what's going on, why I feel that way. Maybe I'm just tired. Maybe I need a little bit more sleep. Maybe I'm nervous in anticipation because today's going to be a really busy day. I don't know. So I would say try to give yourself some time early in the morning to just do a little test, kind of where am I emotionally today? What am I going to need to really work on? What are my challenges going to be? Whether that's sitting in prayer, meditation, or whatever it is, before you just dive into those coping behaviors, which can sometimes look like arguing. So those are kind of the first two. In the moment, can you back up and flip the script? Can you be the one that de-escalates the argument? And then sitting with your feelings in the morning, kind of identifying where you are and being totally okay with hey, today's a rough day. I don't feel great. I'm having these emotions. I'm having these frustrations. But, understand about yourself, and you'll be more prepared for the challenges. Then the next two things is knowing how to ask for help, really, truly ask for help. Again, something I'm not great at, but I'm working at it every day. And all of this wellness is just a continuum. It's a work in progress, and we're all working on these things all the time. But instead of alluding to it, right? I think this is such a common thing and such a common pattern, and it's super frustrating to watch, I'll be honest, is when you see someone oh, I really wish I didn't have all these dishes to do by myself, instead of, hey, can you help me wash the dishes? I think I'm pretty good at asking for help, probably too good at it. I think sometimes I can be demanding. But I was raised in a house where we weren't really allowed to do the whole beat around the bush thing. My mom's what do you want? What do you need? Communicate with your words. And I think maybe my husband's house was the opposite. So sometimes this can be a conflict. But I think it is a healthy space to be able to say, hey, I need some help with the dishes today because this is getting overwhelming. And you're what does that have to do with emotions? Because it's all about, stopping the spiral, right? Stopping that out of control spiral. And, or just asking for, for me, some days, if I'm having a major emotional day, I'm going to ask for your help by asking you to just, hey, do you mind if I'm kind of to myself today? And that sounds weird, but I think it's just that communication factor. And again, we're not diving into any kind of depression, anxiety, or diagnosed diagnosed issue. I'm not a doctor. I would never pretend to be a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I would never pretend to be a therapist. I'm just talking simply about normal everyday emotions that sometimes leave us feeling stressed out. How can we get out of that? Because we don't want to feel that way or act that way. Wow, I thought the sun would be good for my face. Super not. It's really bright. And then the very last one. So this is so hard. When you're in that moment, like when you're having that emotional out of control, or maybe you've had an argument, or maybe you've, gotten into it with somebody. After the fact, during the fact, whenever, are you able to look at the situation from their perspective? And before you say, oh yeah, absolutely, I get it, totally. I want you to think right now, how are you at holding grudges? Like, honestly, how are you at holding grudges? And if there's someone in your life that you had a falling out with and you never really, like when you think about it, it still gets you a little bit, ugh, and it's never been solved, like that's a grudge. If there are family members you're not speaking to, that's a grudge. And I mean, while everything is a two-way street, and no one gets it. And I know that's the thing. And people say it all the time, like, well, you just don't understand what happened. I have no idea what happened. I have zero idea what happened. I do, however, understand what forgiveness looks like. I don't think that, to overcome something and to really hash it out and to be BFFs again, that might not ever happen. But there is a way to truly forgive someone. You're like, and then this is what I hear then. Well, they don't deserve it. Or look what they did to me, right? That is eating at you. So basically what you're saying is you are letting another person's actions dictate the health of your body, dictate the wellness of your body, dictate your ability to feel carefree or feel stressed out. So this is not about them. This is about you. Can you truly put it behind you? That doesn't mean that you're going to wipe the slate clean and always move forward with them, but can you really put it behind you? So without holding grudges or without pouting for hours after an argument, especially after it's kind of come to a conclusion. So this is something I'm really passionate about. And y'all, this is, like I said, this is the thing of all the wellness components I'm the least perfect at. It's a struggle for me every single day, but in a way, I think I understand it better because I understand how hard it is. And I've had to work really hard to make strides and to overcome in some of these areas. So I really want to know what you think. I really want to know how you feel about this. What's going on with you? Is there an area that you feel like is totally, and you don't have to leave it in the comments here. You can message me. Is there something that you're like, I am absolutely not all about that life. I can't do that. Because I'd love to hear your rationale. I love to learn from other people. I really do. All right, so if you're not already, make sure that you're following me on Instagram. I'm at Gretchen Gegg. Gretchen, GretchenGegg. And jump in. You can jump in the Wellness Challenge the whole month of April 2019 in order to win a spot. But make sure you go back to my original wellness post. So go scroll through my feed, find my April Wellness Challenge post, and then I want you to enter there so that you actually have a chance to win one of those free spots in Mimo the Workouts, which launches May 1st. And if you want to get in the test group right now, I have it for a reduced rate, so you don't even have to enter the contest. You can just straight up jump in and your price will never go up. It's a one-time price for lifetime access. And when I launch the full program at the higher price, your price will not be affected. You will pay that one price and be done. So it's a pretty cool deal. Message me if you want more